Are there any other representatives for any other candidates who wish to speak tonight? Seeing none, we will move now to the process of counting the room so we can determine viability. Steve Wandrow, could you come up and help us with this? And a few ground rules. First of all, I would like to make sure that any one of you who are voters tonight are in a seat. If you are a voter, please be seated now. That is vitally important for us, no matter where you can find a seat. I also want to make sure we don't have anybody out there other than in the observer section who is in a seat and not checked in as a voter. You know, someone might have a 13, 14-year-old child with them or something, which is fine, but we want to make sure we don't count that person, right? So if you are not checked in, if you're not a voter tonight, if you could just stand off to the side, thank you, until the time comes for us to come back together. I would appreciate you doing that very much. What we're going to do is that each of us will have a diagram, and Jesse is going to take one section, Steve a section, and I'm a section. Take a section, and we're going to record the number of empty chairs we see because we have the number that are in each of these sections. Each of the sections is divided into 3 parts. So we have 9 of these. You want to do the far left? Okay. I'll take the center, and if you could take the right. Yeah, we need that right now. No, just count the number.
All right, so let's do a little recap of what has happened so far. Right now, they are counting the room. They are getting that base level to find out how many people are here caucusing tonight. That's going to help later on when these caucus goers break up into their preference groups, when they go to their individual candidates that they're going to support and say, I'm going to caucus for you. That's when they have to do the count of who is viable, who is not. Right at this caucus location, you have to hit 15% viability or 15% support to be viable. So candidates that don't have viability at that point, they will then the people caucusing for them will then be able to go pick a second person. They will have a second preference. New this year, the people that caucus, that pick a preference group for a candidate that is viable, they're done. That is the end. They are locked in. That is going to probably speed up the process here quite a bit. It's still, of course, going to take quite a bit of time to count people. People, of course, will still be making their pitches. We heard from quite a few candidates, supporters tonight, making their final pitches to the uncommitteds in this room. Now, there are quite a few uncommitted voters. We did put a microphone on an uncommitted voter. If we could actually turn up that microphone to kind of hear what's going on around him. Maybe he's not talking right now, but maybe people around him are. So let's turn up his microphone and take a listen to him.
Voted that most of my life.
You guys from out of state?
I'm from Wisconsin originally. Florida.
Gotcha.
You a native Iowan?
I am. Yeah, I'm born and raised in Des Moines, but went to the University of Iowa for school, but came back here after.
I guess I didn't ask you. What did you go to school for?
Economics.
Anything.
So.
And what do you do?
Not near. I work at a tech company downtown. Work in our marketing department, so don't actually do econ, but not as many years as being a doctor. So.
So in terms of what you took away from economics, I mean, are you someone that has, let's say, a diversified portfolio? Do you have a 401k or Roth? Do you invest in index funds?
He watches so many,
I mean, at some point, the burden of my student loans is going to
dissipate.
I want to know
what to do.
A firm understanding of where to place money and how to combat high interest rates on certain aspects of my loans. And whether to invest in this or that or the other thing and pay off these loans as opposed to that loan.
I mean, if you listen to Warren Buffett, which I'm a strong believer of, if nothing else, just make sure that you're putting money in.
Certainly. Yeah.
So once you can get a 401k or even just a Roth, I mean, just put money in, get that compounding interest, because at the end of the day, it's the amount of time more so than anything else. Like, you can invest in a good asset, but the probability of you picking a good asset is much less likely than you just picking on the stock market as a whole going up and riding that until you retire.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been pumping for years. It's interesting. Buffett himself does pick stocks, yes, but he always advocates for the general, member of society. Like, if you're not knowledgeable, your best bet. And didn't he put his own money in it? Like, he bet a bunch of hedge fund managers $1 million over, was it 10 years?
It was 10 years. It was over a decade.
And he outperformed every single one of them. And there's no 20-year stretch where there isn't a 7% to 10%, something like that return on that.
All right, if you're just joining us, we are taking a look inside a Democratic caucus at Des Moines University right now. They are passing the hat, so they are passing around envelopes, collecting donations. We just listened into a little bit of a conversation that an undecided caucus goer is having. It sounds like he's talking about the stock market, things like that, financial investments, all, I'm sure, decisions that go into the economy, of course, being a big deciding factor for many voters down the road. When I spoke to that gentleman earlier, he's 25 years old. He said something that he's really going to be paying attention to when he does make his final decision is electability. Will a candidate that he supports be able to defeat Donald Trump? This caucus began with that same message that their goal here, while they are in contests against each other, their final goal is to defeat President Trump. Of course, I'm sure the Democratic goal across the nation right now. So we are, again, they are counting the room. That is what they are going to get their base level count for to determine viability of candidates. If a candidate does not have 15% support, then they are not able to be viable after the first preference. Those candidates that are with the supporters that are with candidates that are viable will be locked in. That's new this year. That is something that is hopefully going to speed up the process. Now, the candidates that are, or the supporters that are for candidates that are not viable will then have a second choice. They will be able to go into a second preference group, or they don't have to. They can just stay where they are, keep that first preference as their final preference, and call it a day. Another thing new this year is everybody has something called a presidential preference card. Now, this is an actual piece of paper that caucus goers are going to have to fill out. They fill it out during first preference, sign it. If you are for a viable candidate that's collected, you're done. That is your final say. It's turned in as who you are going to be supporting in this caucus. If you are for a candidate that is not viable, you're going to flip it over and then write down that second candidate, or you just say, nope, I'm not going to caucus for a second person. I'm just going to keep that first preference as my final preference, and again, call it a day. Now, something interesting that happened earlier, we heard from a Biden supporter who said that they're concerned that there isn't enough support for him to actually be viable at this caucus location. So, again, if you are just joining us, we are at Des Moines University. So not being viable at one location does not mean that a candidate is not viable at any location. But here at this particular location, the Biden supporters said they have some work to do in order to maintain viability. It appears that there is quite a bit of Warren support. When a supporter of Warren spoke, we'll check back in a little bit, but we're going to listen to the microphone right now.
There may be two more. Yes, 510. Steve, did you count yourself? Steve Wandrow. 511 voters here tonight. Okay. That did not change the viability threshold. So the viability threshold, okay, we multiply 511 times 15%. We round up. It is 77 is the viability figure for tonight, 77. All right, we are now, and don't get up yet, we're going to break into our presidential preference groups. Again, we're going to give you a minimum of 20 minutes to do it. If it gets done before that, fine. If it takes longer, we will certainly entertain a motion to extend. The Sanders group, as you know, is over here. And if we need to expand that a little bit over that way, they can go. The Warren group is back there and to the right. They are going to use one of the tables over here for their use. The Buttigieg folks will meet up front and in the middle here. The Biden folks right over in their section on that side. Klobuchar against that wall over there on the left. Yang right in the center where you are at. Are there uncommitted folks here tonight? Are there any uncommitted? There are some. Okay. Please get together so we will know how many you are. One of us, either Jesse or myself, will come back and count them. Are there any voters here tonight for Tulsi Gabbard? Any Gabbard? There, okay. Bloomberg. There are Bloomberg, okay. Let's see, Bennett. Anybody for Senator Bennett? All right. And Steyer. There are a few Steyers. Okay. We will come back and count you folks separately, but let us open that period right now. So if you would please, and be careful with each other. There are some folks here who have some mobility issues, so move in an orderly fashion.
All right, if you are just now joining us, we are live at a Democratic caucus at Des Moines University. Now, we have a microphone on an uncommitted voter, and so we're going to kind of keep an eye on him throughout the night to kind of hear what folks around him are talking about. Right now, people are splitting up into preference groups, so everybody's kind of going to their corner, so to speak, and saying, this is the person that I am going to support for my first presidential preference. Now, once they do get into those groups, they're going to have to fill out their presidential preference cards. That is the first time for that. Let's actually turn up the undecided voters microphone, because it looks like an Andrew Yang supporter is talking to an uncommitted group right now. So let's turn up his microphone real quick and take a listen.
What?
A little bit.
The Yang one?
Yeah, I actually met Andrew Yang last year.
Really?
Yeah, in May. So he was.
Were you at like the weird elementary up the way?
No. So at Bergman Academy, no, I was. He came to one of our events for where I work. We had like a conference that he came to. It's a tech conference, so he kind of fit right in there. But yeah. So I think I have a book that's signed by him. Actually,
Yeah, what?
I think I have his book that's signed by him.
Yeah,
so.
the War on Normal People.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Who else are you considering?
Probably Amy and Buttigieg are my other like top two.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are we in there? Just asking.
I would say yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm keeping my options open. So yeah.
Like most people.
So kind of interested to see where everything lays out to begin with, and then maybe go from there. But I mean, if you guys have a super great pitch for me, I'm willing to hear it. But
Yeah. So I mean, the pitch for Andrew is what you're looking for in a candidate as far as policies. We're just as close to 1990 as we are to 2050. A lot of candidates have policies that they were hawking in 1990. We know that's not working out, and we also know that like we're drowning in student loan debt. If you're not drowning in student loan debt, you're drowning in probably addictions, opioid crisis, everywhere else around there. And so Andrew's the only one that's been able to predict like, hey, Donald Trump didn't get elected because of racism. He got elected because these things are happening, and people are ignoring it, and they're continuing to ignore it. And the solution to it isn't a free healthcare, because healthcare doesn't allow you to not live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to pay your student loans. $1,000 a month, basically a universal basic income, to basically stop living paycheck to paycheck and be able to invest in the things that you care about. So when you want to do something, work a different job. She was an entrepreneur for a while. That's really hard to do when you don't have any money. If you want to buy a house,
house or just get off of my dad. So it's basically the idea of whether you believe Andrew has correctly identified how the future is going to turn out. And Trump did, that's why people went for it, because they looked around and they said, Hillary Clinton in a debate said, we don't need to make America great again. America's already great.
Do you think that, so like, okay, let's say Andrew actually gets elected and he has enough Democrats to actually pass a UBI.
Yeah.
Do you think he would pass UBI completely across the country right away? Or do you think he would like be smart about it and like at least test it out? Because that's my thing, is like UBI is interesting, but at the same time, they've only done it in like a couple like very small studies, and so you don't actually know if there's any benefit to it whatsoever, or if it just adds more money to the deficit.
But that's the nice thing is like I think he would roll it out. I can't speak to that, but like how Obama used to say, like redistribute the wealth. His idea is to do that. Let's redistribute the budget. So it's actually not adding to the deficit in so much as he's just saying like, we waste a lot of money in Afghanistan. We waste a lot of money in Iraq. And again, meanwhile, we're all drowning in debt.
18-year-olds have to take like a financial literacy test to like it takes time.
Yeah, you have to take it, pass a test, because for some reason we let kids out on the road with driver's license, and then we will also give them and we make them test for that. But when I asked for $20,000, they were like, yeah, sure.
So I don't know exactly, but I do know that I don't know where you stand on cannabis. He said that like on April 20th, 2021, he would make it like,
decriminalize it from Schedule 1.
Yeah, and help veterans with trying to with their mental health and like psilocybin.
So that's another thing I like about Andrew. So even if UBI doesn't work, there's other things that we know will work that he's working to change. So like climate change. It's great to eliminate plastic straws, but freaking 2 sides of Iowa flood every spring, and thousands of people are devastated, and they're never able to move. Why can't they move? They have disposable income to move. And what he's decided is a couple of different plans, even from something as researching like, hey, what if we put solar panels in space? Something as crazy as that to something more simple like, what if we just reinvested in nuclear energy? We never had a good reason to stop other than people got scared. It's kind of unrealistic to think that we can actually get off of all of the fossil fuels and protect our people at the same time. So he would also deploy, realign money from overseas, whatever we're spending in Afghanistan, actually using in Iowa to protect us from floods.
Do you guys think he can actually win? I mean, he's only at 7%. So like,
retail jobs is the most common job.
I mean, the Democratic nomination. Do you guys actually think he can get it? I mean, between all 50 states.
And so after that, I decided to leave retail because it was completely dying. And I actually went into auto repair. I ran my own shop, actually. And I don't know if you know this, but 63% of all Americans cannot afford a $500 car repair bill. And 60%? 63%. And so the UBI, the $1,000 a month, that would definitely help a lot of people. Do you know how many people in Des Moines who are over 18? Probably not. There's 153,000 plus. So you give $1,000 to every adult in Des Moines. That's 150.
dwindling away and nobody's doing anything about it. Like, if you look at his website, the details of every plan are so much, like, longer and greater than other campaigns that it's so clear that they've, like, run all the math and they've run all
Well, I mean, I can tell you why I'm supporting Elizabeth. If you're interested, I don't want to pressure you, but okay. Well, I think Elizabeth, she comes from a working class background. Oh, sorry, am I being recorded? Okay. All right. So she comes from a working class background. She went back to school as an adult, like I did as well. And I think she understands where working class people come from, and she remembers that as she makes up her policies. So I think she just identifies more with us than she does like a corporate or a professional person. So I think that's important because we've had so many policies over the last years that are geared towards corporations or wealthy people, and I think we need to bring it back to the regular working class American.
got a question for you. If she doesn't become the nomination, will all of her followers get behind whoever the nomination is?
Yes, I am ready. I don't care who gets a nomination. I will be out there knocking
You
doors.
care a little bit, I would think.
Course. Yeah, like I want her to win. I mean, obviously I'm here, got my outfit, my color, but whoever gets a nomination, I'll be out there knocking on doors because the most important thing we can do is get Trump out of the White House. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Don't want to sound like a snake. She's got a plan. That is cliche.
Excuse me. Can you squeeze my button?
And just look at what the numbers are.
It's good to see you, Tracy. How are you? How are you? How have you been?
How are you?
I'm good. My mom told me that you were going to be here. She's in Florida, so she couldn't come. But yeah, for work. So yeah.
Yeah, she told me that.
Yeah.
She told me that. I didn't think it was Florida. I guess I thought it was Pennsylvania.
I think she was in Pennsylvania last week.
So where are you?
I'm undecided. I haven't decided yet. So yeah.
You want to
I don't
come
know.
over to Amy's house?
I mean, I like Amy. I think my biggest thing is just like trying to figure out like where do I put my vote and have it stick. So
It's just,
is that who are you going for?
I get. You bet.
but we're really short. We're like 47.
Oh, no, I understand. Let's go.
And 77.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my mom was, no, you're fine. My mom wanted Booker, but then he dropped out, and so, and I wasn't necessarily 100% for Booker, but that was probably who I was leaning, and then once he dropped out, kind of threw me into, okay, I don't know who I'm going to vote for now, so, but...
Do you have a strategy?
I mean, just go around and talk to people and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I have my own thoughts, but I like to hear other people's ideas and, like, we'll see what resonates. So.
Have you grown any at all? I picked up a years of potential. Oh!
Hey, how are you? Neighbor, how are you?
Amy, go for Amy! Go for Amy! Where are you going to? Are you out of school?
Yeah. I graduated in 2016. Sorry, I didn't mean to be in
I
the way.
didn't realize you graduated that long ago.
Yeah.
I'm old, so I lose track of time. You know that. I'm like your parents. I'm old. No, Amy. I spent time in Minnesota. I've heard her for years. So. No. I like a lot of I like her bipartisanship.
Yeah.
I said it on the CBS National News this morning. So. Oh, really?
Did you
on
actually?
CBS this morning at Jake Diner.
Okay.
I said it in front of God and everyone.
I had to do an interview earlier, so
what?
I had to do an interview earlier here.
Oh,
So,
see,
yeah.
we've got a good streak. Although you're probably not living with your parents, I'm sure, but or are you?
No. So I live just south of Roosevelt now. So
you're not living downtown.
No, I was downtown, and then I moved back out this direction. So afterwards. So kind of, I mean, not quite Roosevelt, but close to there, kind of. So yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, because Jessie lives down in Sherman Hill. There, just kept her voting address at our house.
Okay. Yeah.
She works down at the State House. So,
Yeah, there you go.
Changed her jobs.
Yeah, so I work for a tech company now. I work for Dwala downtown. So yeah, I changed.
Does Liz work for them?
Yeah, Liz works for them.
Does she still work for them?
Yeah, she's one of our head recruiters.
I knew
so.
she was working for them right out of school because I think she interned with them.
So she was working with them for like a couple years, and then she went to another job and then came back. But yeah, she's back there now. Yeah, she's back there now.
Cool.
She helped hire me. So.
Amy. I know she's not Amy.
Steph.
This is someone who we're
Hi, Steph.
trying
I'm good. How are you?
Right, we'd love to have you here.
What?
We would love to have
I don't know. I'm undecided.
Yeah, you're undecided. What's your... Help make us
I was going to say, this is a conflict of interest right now, Steph. Steph is my boss, so one of my boss's boss, actually. So, I know that. So sorry. All right. Well, I'm gonna walk around a little bit more, and then I'll have to make up my mind.
And I'll give you I got 5
Okay. That's a good thing.
All right, if you are just now joining us, we are live at a Democratic caucus at Des Moines University. Right now, people are making their cases. Supporters are talking to the undecided voters, one of which we have mic'd up specifically. He is a 25-year-old man from Des Moines who is going around the room and hearing pitches from each campaign. So it looks like he is heading up front to where both the Biden and I believe that's Pete Buttigieg up there in the middle. Supporters are standing. So let's go back to his microphone and see what supporters are saying to him now.
I'm from Minnesota.
Members should go ahead, if you haven't already, and fill out side 1 of your presidential preference cards and turn them into your group leader. If you haven't done that already. Well, we've got 5 more minutes left for this first round. Is there any group that would like more time? If not, we can go to the business of counting. I know some of you have started that already. So I'm going to declare the first alignment complete, unless there is objection, at which point you may now begin filling out your preference cards if you haven't done so already.
I mean, you're thinking about it.
So I'll be
and turning them in. Now, if you are in a group that
or Andrew Yang, and so I don't know.
Hang on to your card.
Hang on to your card.
What's most important to you?
November.
Right.
You know, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what matters.
Right.
You know, I mean, yes, there's a lot of policy things that are important, but at the same time, you kind of have to have the White House in order to do anything. So
I like Pete. I think he's a really smart guy. He needs more experience.
that's kind of, I mean, I like the fact that Amy, she's not, I mean, Pete sounds nice. He has a good presentation and everything, but Amy's actually been in the Senate, so
And she's worked a lot with both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, and she's from the Midwest, but so is Pete. And, that's kind of the 2 reasons why I like them.
I do. I mean, I have major concerns for people of color voting for Pete. So there's that.
Yeah.
I'm not a hard sell on any of them, other than I don't want Bernie to be our candidate because I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, really all of the candidates who are kind of on the older side of the injury age make me worry because it's like how different do they look or appear than Trump, and so. So are your friends who you said are Republicans who are going to vote for Klobuchar? Are they caucusing tonight, or are they?
No, everybody I'm talking about they're registered Republicans. They're all family.
Okay.
That don't like Trump.
Yeah.
And for a few of them, it would be their first time voting for a Democrat.
Really?
They really don't want to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
And if you give them a moderate who's willing to listen to both sides, they'll vote for a Democrat.
Yeah. I mean, that's really important. I mean, even my parents are split. One's a Democrat, one's a Republican. But even the one that is a Republican didn't vote for Trump in 2016 and won't again. But I worry that if somebody who is really far to the left is the candidate, they'll vote third party. They won't.
Or just not.
Yeah, or just not vote. Yeah, and just vote for the other down ballot races. So.
That's my concern.
We moved the documents so that I can have
falling down.
Not trying to relay that
Do you guys have enough?
I don't know. I think you're getting counted for us.
At
this point.
I feel comfortable doing this. You've talked me.
I still don't think we're going to be viable, but
It's okay. I mean, based upon the people that the people that I already know here, plus.
I'm not a hard sell, so you know.
All right, let's take a look at these hands up. We're going to cut away from that undecided voter real quick. Those are Biden supporters. You can see that they are being counted right now. You can see that woman on the side of the screen physically going through and hand counting how many people are supporting Joe Biden. That is happening all across the room. But let's dip back into Caucus Chair Bill Brock's microphone right now to hear what he's having to say.
I'll let them know again. Warren counts Buttigieg. Sanders counts Biden. Buttigieg counts Sanders. Klobuchar counts Warren. And Yang counts Klobuchar. I'll announce that again. So Biden will have a representative to come over and meet with the Yang campaign and count. Warren counts Buttigieg. Sanders counts Biden. Buttigieg counts Sanders. Klobuchar counts Warren. And Yang counts Klobuchar. This is a way for us to have a fair double count. And this is pretty standard practice in caucuses. So let's begin that process right now. By the way, let me ask, I usually ask this and I forgot, how many of you are caucusing for the very first time? Whoa! Thank you for being here. That is amazing. Great turnout. Thanks, guys.
All right, if you are just now joining this stream, we are live inside of a Democratic caucus in Des Moines. We are at Des Moines University, where right now counts are being done. Now, they have a lineup of who's counting who, so it's not like Yang supporters are counting their group and Biden supporters are counting their group. It's actually supporters of other candidates that are counting different candidates' groups. So you can see, let me make sure that you can see on the screen, there are some hands up. Those are the people being physically counted right now. They are holding up their preference cards. That particular group is Amy Klobuchar supporters. So we have, let me grab my sheet of paper to find out the total number of people here, because first things first, they did a total count of the room to determine what the viability level is going to be. So there are 511 people caucusing at the site today. You need 77 people to be in a viable group in order to get any delegates here at this specific location at Des Moines University. So right now, they are going around the room. The first preference is officially over, and now the groups are being counted. Another interesting thing, if we could look at the very center of your screen, there's a bunch of empty chairs. So that's where the uncommitted voters were sitting at first. It looks like that group really cleared out, but there are still a couple people in the very back. So we'll see what happens with that group. If you look in the front left corner, maybe we can get a camera up to that front left corner to show these Bernie supporters. I'm going to give our camera up, Frankie, a second to get up there, but it appears that is there aren't even enough seats for Bernie supporters. Let me just put it that way. So let's give her a second to get zoomed in and such to show you what we're seeing up there. So take a look at that. Up against the wall, standing room only for Bernie supporters here at Des Moines University. Now, that's not to say that everywhere there's that many Bernie supporters. That is just at this specific location. So I don't want you to look at this and say that's true for all of Iowa. It's just this one specific location. That's just how it works here in Iowa. Each caucus is a little bit different. Each caucus is made up of different groups of people, different demographics, that sort of thing. So right now, if you're just joining us, we are live inside of a Democratic caucus. People are going around and counting up this first presidential preference. New this year, if you've watched for a little bit, you saw those cards go up. Those are presidential preference cards. So people actually have to physically write down who they are intending to caucus for. First preference, if that person is a viable candidate after first preference, that's it. they're locked in. Again, something new this year. If that person that they're choosing to caucus for is not viable after first preference is over, then during second alignment, they're going to flip that card over, either write down another candidate or check a little box that says, nope, I'm done. I'm just going to keep with my first preference and call it a day. So right now, the count is going on. From what I saw, Biden's group was already counted up. Klobuchar's group was already counted up. Warren has also quite a few supporters. It looks like while the Bernie Sanders campaign, let me see what's on the screen. Yep. So while the Bernie Sanders campaign has a ton of standing room only, it does appear that the Warren campaign just got some more chairs. It looks like they happen to be a group that's by some of the spare chairs that were stacked up, and it looks like they kind of just spilled over and unstacked some of those chairs and decided to sit down. So there are quite a bit of people here. A lot of decisions being made. There are still a few undecideds, and it looks like there are some supporters. Let's get Don, if we can come back over to that wide shot. I want to show some of these campaigns are really trying to make their cases for why they should support specific candidates. So that very back row, so if you see the empty chairs, that very back row, the man in the blue shirt talking to a couple of people, those are definitely uncommitted voters that were uncommitted earlier, and it looks like people are really trying to make their case for why they should support their candidate specifically. Now, some of the discussion that I've heard in this room today is, well, what happens if the candidate I choose to support isn't viable? It sounds like consensus is they're going to back whoever the Democratic nominee is. Their main goal is electability, somebody that can beat Donald Trump. At least the conversations that I've overheard. Of course, there are different discussions that we've heard throughout the room. You've heard from one undecided voter specifically that we've been following around. I'm trying to look to see where he ended up. Do you guys know where our undecided voter ended up? Nope. We're going to try to track him down to see where he specifically ended up. But again, if you are just joining us, we are live inside of a Democratic caucus in Iowa. We are in Des Moines and at Des Moines University, and I think that we found our undecided voter who appears to just be looking down at his phone behind the Pete Buttigieg group, which is like, I'm not sure if he's sitting in the Buttigieg group or if he's sitting in the Klobuchar group. I'm going to try to see if I can physically see if he's supporting anybody. It appears that he might be in the Amy Klobuchar group. Now, I believe at one point his microphone, we picked up his microphone that said that she was one of the people that he was leaning towards. So we'll have to wait till the end to actually talk to him to figure out specifically what he ended up going with. But yeah, that's what's going on so far. Again, if you're just joining us, we are live at a Democratic caucus in Des Moines. Let's throw up the microphone.
Group could come up to the stage and give us your number. It would be much appreciated. Thank you. Did the Warren campaign send somebody to double count Buttigieg? Warren campaign. Did you send somebody to double count Buttigieg? Yes. Okay. What was the number? Did you get 107? Thank you. I'll have the finals for you in just a sec. All right, here are the figures after the first alignment. Biden has 44. Remember, 77 is the viability test. Buttigieg has 107. Klobuchar has 54. Bloomberg has 5. No laughing, please. Gabbard has 2. Sanders has 142. Warren has 119. Yang has 38. Steyer 1. 2 uncommitted, and 1 for Booker.
All right, let's take a look over at our Iowa Event Center location for first alignment information.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to your caucus coverage. I am Stephanie Engelson. I'm joined by Jack Miller here, and we are live at the Iowa Event Center in the media filing room, where everybody is kind of watching these first alignment numbers start to take shape across the state.
A lot of anticipation and a little bit of satisfaction, actually, as we're starting to see some of the numbers trickle in. Let's take a look at a graphic showing the latest numbers that we have, and we're going to work a little bit off of those numbers and off of some of the final alignment numbers that we have here on our website, and we're going to try and get you the latest numbers. But right here, this is now, okay, those are going to be the latest, with 2% of the precincts reporting their final alignment vote.
This is first alignment.
This is first line. Sorry, this is first alignment. Yep. 2%, and we do have Bernie Sanders in the lead at 23%. Now understand that's only 944 first alignment votes, so this is very preliminary. Right. Followed closely by Pete Buttigieg with 855 votes and 21%.
That's right, and as we know, they have changed how things are done this year. So we're getting this first alignment vote coming in, but then we will also be sharing with you the final alignment vote. Now, still with 2% of the precincts reporting, Elizabeth Warren in third place in this, again, first alignment vote. She has 18% of the vote, and then Joe Biden sitting in fourth place right now with 16% of the vote. We expect these numbers to continue to evolve throughout the evening, not only with the first alignment, but then with the final alignment. We hope to be able to bring you some more results here soon. Amy Klobuchar in fifth place with 15% right now.
Yep, and then as expected, it really kind of falls off. Andrew Yang is at 3% of first alignment votes with 110, and we should probably see another page. If I'm imagining what the first alignment is going to look like, yeah. Michael Bloomberg at 2%, Tom Steyer at 2%. And we'll keep on scrolling through those and see if there's any more candidates that showed numbers in the first alignment. Is there any more pages, any more votes that we can report here?
And we do have news from the Republican side. President Donald Trump was declared the official winner tonight of the Republican caucus. So that was not a big surprise. We had the Iowa Republican Chair Jeff Kaufman in earlier on the show. He said, sorry, from the Republican side, we can't give you a whole lot of drama tonight. President Trump's going to win it, and he did tonight.
Yep, and there are the numbers right there. The president with 97% of the vote there. So it is very early. This is the first alignment, but we're seeing early indications that Pete Buttigieg is performing very well, and Amy Klobuchar is performing very well, again at this very, very, very early stage of tonight's proceedings.
What Jack and Stephanie just said, it is early, but first alignment just wrapped up here, and a little bit of surprising information coming out. Joe Biden is not viable after first alignment at the specific Des Moines University location. So second alignment is going on right now. We're going to take a wide shot of the room so that you can kind of see this is a lot more chaotic than the first alignment because there are a few different candidates that were not viable. So Andrew Yang is one of them. That is the candidate in the back center of the room. You can see a lot of candidates, supporters of other candidates, descended on that group to try to convince them of why they should caucus for their specific candidate, why they should switch over. So that's going on across the room right now. Let's check in with our undecided voter. We're going to try to find him on screen right now. It's a little bit more chaotic, so it's going to be tough to find him physically in this room, but let's turn up his microphone and hear what people are saying to him right now.
So you're undecided?
I was in Klobuchar's camp, but I think that they're getting cannibalized right now, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do.
I was undecided until today, actually.
Who'd you go for this first time? You went for Pete?
I was a political science major in college. I like that he isn't treated like a celebrity, and he doesn't like act like, trying to pump people up like a celebrity, and I like a lot of, I was a caucus chair for Bernie last time around, and I like him a lot. It just scares me how
Give those back to the voters.
If
there is a non-viable group that has collected cards, give those back to the voters. They have the right to move.
He's a populist.
That, and it's just something. Did you see that? I saw on Twitter there's a I talked to Roxanne, and one of the biggest things is that whoever we pick, they're supposed to be working for us. We're not supposed to be, treating them like they're above us. And I don't know. I like that Pete was always very respectful about everyone. He never talked badly about other candidates unless they pointed something out about him, and
It's a good argument. I'm going to walk around a little bit more. I appreciate it. Thank you.
There are 10 minutes left. Realignment. 10 minutes.
I think of the centrist group, they all are more in that line.
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah. Have you thought about who your second choice might be? Yeah. You know where you're going already? You do? Yeah, you do. Okay. All right. Well, I hope to see you over on our side.
How are we doing?
I'm doing okay.
I'm not going to be as pushy as the other ones. I was just curious. Just discuss with you. Who's your second choice right now if you had to do one?
I don't know. Either... Well... This looks like it just got cannibalized for Klobuchar, so probably either Pete or probably Warren, because I don't think that there's going to be anybody left after that, and besides Bernie.
Personally, I'm Yang. That's what I'm trying to just talk to y'all.
Yeah.
We're trying to get some people over to be viable. I mean, Yang's got a lot of similar ideas to Amy. It's really we're both positive about each other. I mean, you know the whole spiel of everything Yang's doing. And everything.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was talking to a bunch of Yang people. I was sitting right behind you guys earlier.
Oh, nice.
Heard you guys out and just sat over here just because I found Amy to be a little more electable, but if you guys are able to rack up enough people, want to make sure that my vote counts. So.
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, I mean that's always you can come over, we can see our account. If it ends up being we don't have enough count, always do someone else.
Yep, that makes sense.
So it's just part of why I'm for Yang. I mean, obviously I like his policies here, and then he's also like besides Biden, he's probably the only other person that's really flipping Republicans right now too. So it's really nice to have someone who's actually like still progressive and has really good ideas that is able to flip Republicans rather than just being, moderate and just something to keep in mind. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
For Amy?
Yeah, this is first time around.
Yeah. What drew you to Amy?
Well, so I was undecided when I walked in here, but
nice, super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, leaning more towards like Amy, Pete, Yang.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I really opened to everybody, but those were the ones I was leaning more towards.
Yeah.
And so, I think at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is who's going to win in November.
Oh, 100%.
And
100%. It's a hard nut to crack, knowing who's going to do that.
Yeah, and projecting that out is the hardest thing, and so just that's all I really care about.
Well, yeah, I know. I hear you. I'm the same way. After 2016, this couldn't even lift my head for a couple days, right?
And I mean, it's not just it's the factor that it wasn't just losing in 2016, but it's been every day since then.
I hear you. Oh man, that's well said.
It'd be one thing if things personalities have changed over time, but they seem to have solidified even more so.
Yeah. Well,
sit down, and after we count your cards and put it down.
Well, I know you all have a tough choice here.
I kind of want to see this.
Yeah, I mean, I know you were relatively close, 15, 20 away.
Yeah, I think they're about 23 out.
That leaves 3, but so I'm a Warren guy, but hadn't always started as a Harris person.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Booker person till 3 weeks ago. So
absolutely, man, that guy is amazing. Absolutely love that guy. I was more shocked than anything that he never caught on. You know what I mean? Just the most magnetic dude.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and you hear him talking, you're like, where are we going? Let's do this thing, right? And actually, I wasn't, after Harris, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I mean, like you, my number one priority was like, all right, listen, the person's going to have to win, period. Right? And then, like with Booker, the first time I saw Elizabeth, was freaking blown away at how effective of a communicator and a campaigner she was. Because what I hadn't known about her was, I mean, it's sort of naive, I guess, but I hadn't known her full biography about born in Oklahoma, growing up dirt poor, basically, having the government help fund her through education, and then, providing living wages. The whole bio just hit me like, yeah, no shit. So the question to me was always like, all right, how are you gonna win? How are you gonna convince people to win? Because I had always thought the way I'd heard about Warren through the years leading up to this was everybody's like, oh, she's just like Bernie. No, I like Bernie. I just don't think Bernie will win because, 2016, right? And so I was always a little nervous until I saw her and I was like, wait a minute, that's not Bernie. She's not Bernie. She's a whole different animal. She has substance to her campaign promises. So for what it's worth, left there in tears a couple times. It's like, holy shit. Was always really afraid to, basically hope, for someone, that would be able to inspire new voters and things like that. She was my choice. So for whatever that's worth to you, hope it means something.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, of course. And good luck to y'all. I like Amy quite a bit. Hope she's viable. If not, I hope you'll consider joining us over there.
Okay, we'll do. Thank you.
Hey, nice to meet
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah,
Adam.
my name's Rob. Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you, Rob. Thank you. 3.
Out loud. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
14.
No. Coin flips. That looks very bad.
Trying to count. They're trying to count. Start again.
Can I sit here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Too late? Am I too late? I thought I had like 5 more minutes. Yeah, they'll keep able to come. How's it going? Are we back in the mix? No?
Which is a good option.
How many do they have?
I think around 60.
You got any friends?
I came here undecided, so.
I was talking to you. I was talking to
Who are you with?
Stenberg, come on, let's go. Where are you at? Brother? How are you? What's going on?
Susan?
You outed me.
I was proud of you. You're so full of shit. Wait a second. Well, your eyes are brown. They're kind of brown.
15 minutes.
I have to see
Megan,
We can extend it if there is a need. Is there a request by any group for more time? All right, I hear a request over there. We will grant 5 minutes, no more. 5 more minutes. At 8:55 on my watch, we'll be done.
Hello. Hello. I found something.
Skills. I went to LA today. He's so upset. He's texting me asking me about his girls.
Klobuchar is no longer viable at this point. Go ahead and support another candidate if you may remain undecided.
They are not viable.
Yeah, they're not. No.
You can go pick somebody else if you want, or you can be undecided. I know, we tried.
I guess we're moving.
What?
You guys merge? Did you merge?
Yeah, I'm going to pee.
Yes, I understand. So,
What did he say?
I said farewell to my mom. I'm going to Warren. Who knows where she's going.
All right, if you are just joining us, we are live at a Des Moines caucus. Take a look around. This is second alignment. There are just a few minutes left. We've been following an undecided voter around, and his first candidate, I believe that he caucused for, I believe he went with Amy Klobuchar. We're not allowed to talk to the candidates during the actual caucus, so this is all just from what I saw. I believe he was trying to support Amy Klobuchar. Klobuchar ended up not getting viability, so he's been kind of wandering around. But if we want to take that camera again, you can see that He is back in the Amy Klobuchar section, so I'm not sure exactly what is going on. He's talked to a lot of people. He has spoken to quite a few people. Quite a few people have come up to him trying to make their cases of why he should support their candidate. That has been going on around the room after a surprising turn here. Joe Biden was actually not viable at this location. Of course, this is just one caucus site across the entire state. This is not a representation of what's happening across the whole state, but here it looks like there are a lot of Warren supporters, a lot of Bernie supporters, and a lot of Buttigieg supporters. Biden did not reach viability here. If you are just joining us, we are live at a caucus in Des Moines, and let's dip back into that undecided voter to hear what he is talking about right now as we wrap up second alignment.
Okay, so it's an electability issue.
Yeah, I mean, essentially. For me, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of good policies that you'd like to see enacted, but they don't get enacted unless you win in November, right?
Yeah. So, well, what's your heart say if electability is not an issue?
I mean, outside of electability, I think the biggest thing is just having somebody who's going to make stable decisions, be thoughtful about kind of just how they act as a president, kind of bring us back to kind of a normal...
So literally anyone in this room qualifies under that? Maybe most, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not... I wouldn't say, probably the next big thing for me is just having smart kind of foreign policy decisions, making sure that America looks good on like an international stage, having us be, return to a place of being like at the forefront of like pushing, worldwide kind of policies and solutions, and not be so isolationist. So
I appreciate that. You have a lot of good options to consider then.
Yeah. I don't know.
If I were to kind of hit on that a little bit, which I don't have much time, but what I would say is Elizabeth, way back in the day, she already started the mantra of like, she's got a plan for that, that's great and everything. I think it's really cool that she's put out all of these plans and made herself very vulnerable and saying, this is what I'd like to do, giving them lots of ways to critique her and criticize her over what she plans. Versus, staying vague has its qualities, you're not committed to anything, you're not held to anything. But she went the opposite route. She said, this is how I want to do all these different things, including a lot of foreign policy issues. And rooting out corruption and Medicare and all these other things. She's got plans for all of them, and what's really cool is that she did put herself out there. And I, personally, that speaks to me. I'm a big old nerd. I love to see all the inner workings of her head. And I think she's been super transparent in that sense. And that's a lot of why I really appreciate her. I'm not beholden to her.
The alignment period has ended. Wherever you happen to be, if you have moved groups, please sign side 2 of your presidential preference card and turn it into your leader. I will ask the leader to collect those and count them. And then we will ask the same counting groups that counted other sides to come and double count those.
Well, how did we do? I'm not going to use this again.
Excuse me.
So please turn in side 2 if you moved. Or if you stayed and became viable.
Where'd you end up? Over here? Adam!
I mean, I just got hounded by 6 of you people, and so I'm like, okay, you guys, you worked for it.
I did no work for this. Don't forget to write her name. Do you want me to do it for you?
Do I just put the last name, or do I need to spell it out?
I think that if you put the last, they'll know who you're talking about.
Alright.
I got the pen out up there too. I stole it from her.
Is that where it's at? Okay.
So the Biden people
don't want to talk to me.
they
Yeah.
Sorry. Not for Nick last
sorry. Excuse me.
You have to put
I choose to not align with a viable candidate. Is that
Well,
acceptable?
and we don't take that.
You don't take that?
We'll hand it to the.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for hanging in there, folks. After we get these final numbers, we'll announce how many delegates each group has won and what their final counts were of the viable groups. Then we will go to electing the delegates within those groups.
Did you make your way over here too?
Yeah, but we're so diverse. I mean, I might have.
All right, you can too.
Right now, you can.
I have to stay and give an interview.
Oh, fun.
I've been mic'd up the whole time. This is a hot mic. Yeah.
Good thing I didn't say anything offensive.
I have no idea. When I walked in, they were like, "Who are you voting for?" I said, "I don't know yet." They're like, "Do you want to wear a microphone?" I was like, "Sure." So.
It is a black Bagolini. If this is yours, please come and claim it.
Did you come over with your mom, you said?
Yeah.
Black is a good color for me, but I really don't want it.
Did you see Jenny?
Yeah. I saw her really early. She was the one who gave me my pen to write down my vote, so.
Yeah.
I was texting Audrey, and she had a bag full of Starburst, and I asked her how much she got through. And I think she said about halfway, I think.
Oh, yikes.
All right. Where do you think your mom ended up?
I think she went to.
Were you over here?
Honestly, I have no idea. I should text her and ask her where she went. She's like, I just can't do Warren. I'm like, okay, well.
I don't know. This is.
No, we're gonna. Oh, yep.
That one. And then like all the people that I was so glad to. This course, she's really old. So honestly, probably
like a group. I was like, what kind of group was that? Like a part of, I don't know.
And then over at Amy, there was the entire fourth floor there. And so we were just like, it was like, and I go, you know what? Now's the best time to rob Summit House because everyone's I don't know how to choose an interview.
It's good. This is a hot mic, by the way. So.
Oh, it's on?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I have to give another interview after this.
Oh.
There's a before and after. Plus, they gotta listen to all the conversations that I had. So, yeah. If you hear my voice on the newsletter, you'll know why. Yeah.
I just asked my mom where she went, so we'll see. But there was a moment in which she's like, I can't go for one.
And welcome to your Iowa caucus coverage. I'm Stephanie Engelson, joined by Jack Miller. We're live at the Iowa Event Center in downtown Des Moines. This is the Media Filing Center. So we have media from all over the U.S. and the world here right now covering the Iowa caucuses. It's starting to heat up just a little bit, it seems like, as we're seeing those early numbers come in, Jack.
Starting to warm up a little bit. We are seeing some first alignment and second alignment numbers that are starting to come in. We also have people spread out covering this all over central Iowa, a lot of different locations, all of the candidates' headquarters and parties and so forth. So we'll keep you updated on the very latest on the numbers, and we've got good analysis. Things are just starting to trickle in now, and we want to bring in our analyst, Dr. Stefan Schmidt from the Iowa State University, professor of political science, and thanks for joining us, Stefan.
My pleasure.
Stefan, you had heard earlier that there were concerns about the app and the way things were going to be reported tonight, and then you did hear there were some issues with it.
Yeah, there is an app that is given to all the precinct captains in every precinct, and that they're supposed to use that, if possible, to report the results. Mm-hmm. And it's not working very well, apparently because it's a little complicated. Some of the precinct captains don't know how to use it. Apparently it hasn't been hacked, but the rumors are that it's been hacked and that there's been, some malicious activity. And so that raises concerns, obviously, about the results, even though if the app doesn't work, the precinct captains can still call in the results by phone.
Okay.
So it should be okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be catastrophic.
It
but
should not be.
It's a new change for Iowa this year, so it doesn't look good if it doesn't work well.
It's true that every time you try something new, you're facing the reality that it might not be working well or that people might not be familiar with how it works. And in some cases, it's because the cell phone services in smaller rural areas are not very good, and apparently that has something to do with how the app downloads to their phones or laptops. So it's the kind of thing you don't really want to have happen.
Seems like there was almost a feeling that something like this could happen, and it's more than just conjecture. We know, we have not been able to independently confirm this, but we know there were earlier reports from the New York Times quoting some Iowa Democratic Party officials who estimated the success rate early on tonight of the app as low as 20%, right?
Right. Exactly. So we'll have to see if the party can kind of overcome that and, establish confidence and say, this is not a really big problem. But when those glitches happen, it always raises credibility issues. So.
Okay, we are going to actually head out to our chief political correspondent, Rachel Droz, who is at a caucus precinct location in Des Moines where they are now doing final results.
Yeah, so right now, Stephanie, you are looking at a room that is a lot of empty chairs on one side, a ton of people on the other. So let me point out what you're seeing. So over on the right side is, surprisingly, part of where Biden's supporters were sitting at some point, but he wasn't viable here. There are 511 people here, and I believe in the 40s is how many people were supporting Joe Biden. You needed 77 in order to be viable. So then let's take a look at the left side of the room. The front half of it is Bernie Sanders. The back half is Elizabeth Warren. So there are a ton of Bernie and Warren supporters here right now, and they are crunching the final numbers for final alignment here at Des Moines University. So let's take a look at the podium because it appears that we are getting the caucus chair right now about to go back to the podium to read these final alignment numbers. So let's go to him.
I'm going to give you the final numbers first before we do the calculation of how many delegates each have won. Warren, 153, final number. Sanders, 158. Buttigieg, 164.
All right, so you just heard it. Pete Buttigieg got the most support at this specific caucus location. I'm going to send things back to you, Jack and Stephanie, at the Iowa Event Center, and I'll check in with you guys later.
All right, Rachel, thank you. And a good time to go over for our viewers at home who haven't been following along with the process, the new way they're reporting results this year. So we talked about the first alignment, the final alignment, and then the delegate count. What do each step really mean for these candidates?
Well, it means that they would like to come in at the top in each of the steps so that at the end of each precinct they are sort of clearly the winner. But that may not happen because the calculations from the first alignment when they go in to the final one, the third one, there's a mathematical formula and you may slip a little. So we'll have to see if that really affects the final results or not. But obviously we're getting results now that they're giving us, and I don't know what the numbers were. They were delegate equivalents, I think, from this precinct that we just heard, and that's the one I think that most people are going to pay attention to.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want to check in with the Elizabeth Warren campaign right now. Local 5's Casey Nolan is live there with the latest on what the mood in that room is. Casey?
Jack and Stephanie, ecstatic with second, happy with third. That's what I've heard from quite a few folks here who are hedging their bets, guessing, trying to figure out how this might go here tonight. This is, as you said, this is the Forte Center. This is where Elizabeth Warren, this is her main event. This is where she is expected to attend. This is her watch party. We've been told the senator will be here. In the meantime, what are the tea leaves that we may or may not be able to read? I don't know if we have the video, but earlier we were over at the Wells Fargo Arena, the Precinct 47. I can tell you that sometimes a lot of times people will talk about the energy the senator has. Well, certainly in that room, her supporters had the energy. Not sure if they were just more well organized when they showed up, or if they were truly had the largest group. And then some of the lower energy, Vice President Biden was on that end of the scale, so perhaps mirroring what we just heard from Rachel. But I can tell you here, it's cautiously optimistic, maybe. I'm not sure, but I can tell you they would be happy with third place, ecstatic with second. A couple of people have said that. If they go into fourth, maybe a little demoralized, a little deflated, just a little bit. But the people we've talked to said regardless, tomorrow morning they're going to wake up and get back to work for the senator. Jack and Stephanie.
All right, well, we're starting to see some of these numbers taking a little bit more shape now, Stefan, with the first alignments going through and then the final alignments coming in. What are you seeing on your end?
Well, I'm looking at a wonderful app that the New York Times has, which is a needle that shows you which candidate is doing better than the others. And Bernie Sanders is slightly ahead of all the others right now. Okay. And so we're going to watch that carefully because 4 years ago, this particular measure predicted Donald Trump's victory immediately when they added all the results before it became official. So it's a very accurate app, and we'll see if we can get some information from that.
Yep. I'm looking at final alignment numbers. These are the ones from our website that we have right now. We don't have any delegate equivalents quite yet, but we do have final alignment numbers with only 1%. Now, granted, this is 1% of the precincts reporting, but Bernie Sanders is in second with 24%, and Pete Buttigieg in first with 28%. Elizabeth Warren at 16, Joe Biden at 16, Amy Klobuchar at 16. No other candidate finding any viability into the final alignment. Is it anything there that
not
stands
surprising?
Out to you?
No, I mean, we know that those four are contesting for first, second, and third place. Remember, in Iowa, you have to finish first, second, and third if you have a chance to go on and get the nomination. So the fourth place one is the one that's the sorry candidate because they probably, if it holds this year, are not going to make it. So those numbers are, but the percentages are too low to reach any conclusions, I think.
Right. Is there some old saying about like you have to finish first, second, or third in Iowa if you want to if you want to play anymore? Or something
since Jimmy Carter won the Iowa caucuses, first, second, or third in Iowa got you to the nomination of the Democratic Party. So that's a pretty good record. Yeah.
Well, we got a street brawl out there right now because as of these very early numbers, we've got 5 candidates that really want to win this thing tonight.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And I think there's still 11 that think they have a chance, but most of them don't.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Wishful thinking.
Exactly. Well, we want to take you all out to Joe Biden's campaign. Oh, we're actually going to go to Rachel Droz, who is at that precinct location at the DMU in Des Moines. Rachel, what's happening there?
Yeah, we just got announced how many delegates are being awarded here at this location. So what we just heard is Pete Buttigieg is getting 4 delegates, Bernie Sanders also getting 4 delegates, and Elizabeth Warren are getting 3. So now you are looking at people packing up. It's pretty much over. There is still a little bit more party work to do, but pretty much everything that is deciding who the candidate that they're supporting is going to be, that part's over. So I'm going to send things back to you at the event center because I'm sure you guys have a lot more to talk about there.
Okay, so Sanders and who else did she say? Did she have at the top?
Pete Buttigieg was at the top.
And
Yep.
Sanders. So that super mini trend that we're seeing with a sliver of 1% is holding, and probably not surprisingly
And I think your viewers need to know that different precincts have different leanings. So if it's mostly a student precinct, the results there might be different from, let's say, a small town rural precinct. And so we have to watch that balance. We also have some minority precincts which are going to be very interesting because obviously going forward, minority African American Latino voters are going to have some consideration as to which candidate they like the best, and so maybe some of those precincts would give us a window into that.
We don't have a candidate of color remaining in the race. Is there anybody that you think has an advantage with African American voters?
You know, I think Joe Biden has done very well because he's been familiar in the African American community, and he's also connected with Barack Obama as his vice president. And we have a precinct this year that is in Spanish, which is interesting for Spanish-speaking Iowans, where they would feel more comfortable conversing with each other. So that's an interesting one. We want to watch and see how that one goes.
And we just talked about minority voters. We actually have Lakin McGee standing by at the Biden camp with a voter. Lakin, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so the door is open to the public here at 8:30. And I mean, it really came in. There's a lot of people here, and joining me live is Joanne Smith. Joanne, you actually got to meet Joe Biden this morning.
I met Jill Biden.
Jill Biden.
Yeah, Joe wasn't there, but I was on Morning Joe this morning, so yes, I got to meet the Dr. Jill Biden, and she was phenomenal, just as her husband is. And go ahead.
And so you are, it looks like a Biden fan, but however, you're not from Iowa, so you weren't able to caucus.
That's correct. I just wanted to be here for the moment. So, and Joe Biden is the best candidate, and that's who we need to be voting for, everyone. And even if he doesn't have a good showing tonight, he's the right one. Trust me. Older people, we know this stuff.
All right, you heard her here first. So you also said that it doesn't matter who the Democrat candidate is.
It doesn't matter who the nominee is. We have to come together. I'm talking to you, Bernie Bros, because the Bernie Bros don't like to come together. You got to come together, and we have to get behind one candidate. And if that turns out to be Mickey Mouse, so be it. But we have to get the orange one out of there.
Joanne, thank you so much for talking with us. We appreciate it. We'll let you go back and have some fun. All right. Thank you. She was the life of the party. Everyone's trying to talk to her. She knows what she's talking about. Also, I want to let you guys know that Joe Biden is already thinking about tomorrow. He's already got plans to go to New Hampshire. All right. And hopefully we're going to hear more about the results that are coming in. Again, if you want to see those live, head on over to weareiowa.com. Reporting live in Des Moines, Lakin McGee, Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
All right, Lakin, thanks so much. And let's talk more about that issue, Stefan, that there are a lot of commonalities between the campaigns. There are a lot of issues that everyone in the Democratic Party agrees on. But are they really going to play nice when it comes down? And you just heard the woman that Lakin interviewed there calling out the Bernie Bros that they need to get behind whoever the nominee is. Could that be a sticky point here?
It's a big issue. It's a very big issue because 4 years ago, the Bernie Bros did not support Hillary Clinton as much as they could have. And it cost her, I think, something. It may not have been, the fatal blow to Hillary Clinton, but that is something. And in fact, even though they all agree that healthcare needs to be improved, they don't all agree on how to do it and how to pay for it. So I think some of the voters are going to make distinctions between, universal health care for everyone and improving the Affordable Health Care Act or Obamacare. And that kind of sets them apart. The same thing with college loans. There are some people who don't think that if a billionaire's kid is going to school and has the debt, the taxpayers should pay for that debt. Right. That it should be based on income and on the ability to pay. So there are some differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah.
Well, let's get out to the Sanders camp where we find Eva Anderson. Eva, how's the mood there?
Well, Stephanie, people continue to pour in here at the Holiday Inn near the Des Moines airport, and I can tell you what, the mood is excited. And we'll take a look at how many people here, not only people, but national press. Of course, here in Des Moines, this is something that we have been seeing for the past year, but especially in the past week, people from all over the nation and the world pouring into our state and in our city to see what is happening here. And with Bernie safely sitting in the top 3 at this point, I can believe that this is a very nervous crowd at this point with, kind of wondering what is going to happen, but we will certainly be talking with a lot more caucus goers and have a full update for you later on. In Des Moines, Eva Anderson, Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
All right, Eva, thanks. So we do have a Democratic Party that there's definitely some difference. We have the centrists with a little bit more of traditional Democratic values, but we have more than one candidate in this race that I think even for the Democratic Party you could consider to be a couple steps further to the left, right? In terms of what they are proposing the government do for the average American.
That's true. And it goes from Bernie Sanders, who is the most progressive, being a socialist, a democratic socialist, to Elizabeth Warren, who is very progressive but a little bit more muted. And of course, as we said earlier, those two are competing for similar supporters in the caucuses. And then in the middle, or it is the middle, you have 3 people who are splitting those caucus attendees, which is Joe Biden and Buttigieg and Klobuchar. And so, with that many candidates in there, it's likely that not anyone will get a huge percentage at the end of tonight, but maybe get enough to be first, second, or third, which, as we've said, is all you really need. Because once you leave Iowa, then you got to compete in these other places, right? You got to compete in New Hampshire, and then Super Tuesday is coming up really fast, and that's huge because the number of delegates in Texas and California on Super Tuesday is enormous. And so that's where the question of whether Bloomberg, who is not really competing here, may cut into the results of Iowa, because Bloomberg is picking up in the polls in other parts of the country. So Mayor Bloomberg is kind of a shadow candidate.
And we know that this was a huge field leading up to the caucuses. Iowa always whittles it down, the field down. But then are we going to see it whittled down even more after tonight, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I really think so. I mean, there are stragglers still left in there. Tom Steyer has, I think, no chance. Tulsi Gabbard, has been an interesting candidate. But I think they really need to say, okay, I'm done. And that's helpful to the party.
Let's talk about, I'm sorry, Stephanie, let's talk about the Republicans really quickly, because it was a resounding victory for President Trump tonight with 97% of the vote.
And normally an incumbent president doesn't really compete in the caucuses because it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win. And Donald Trump and the Republicans wanted to be here in order to boost the enthusiasm of Republicans, because they need that enthusiasm in November when Donald Trump is running against the Democrats. So I think that was a smart move, and the Republican Party has such an easy process that it's a no-brainer. You go in, you have a few speeches, then you vote, the votes are counted, and they're reported right away. There's no confusion, there are no apps, there are no divisions of people in the room or any of that. So no delegate equivalency math. It's much easier to understand.
And to unite behind one candidate.
Yes.
It's obvious this year, but even in years where the Republican, the caucus is contested, do you think it makes it easier to unite behind one candidate?
I think it does, because the votes are counted, and you have a paper ballot, and this is how people voted. And so Donald Trump and Ted Cruz were really tied in Iowa, and for first place, and people accepted that, and I think that helped Trump get legitimacy going forward. If it had been complicated math, there might have been some confusion, but it wasn't. It was straightforward.
Well, let's head out to John Schaefer. He's with the Republican caucus site right now. John, what's happening there?
Hey, Stephanie. Yeah, actually a pretty low-key party going on, just watching things kind of unfold. We already know what is happening with Donald Trump winning tonight's caucuses here in Iowa for the Republican side of things. If you look behind me, actually, pretty good party going on. We had about 80 surrogates in the state of Iowa who came out to back Donald Trump, trying to build that momentum, and a lot of them seeing a pretty good turnout actually at these caucus sites tonight. So very excited about that. Obviously, this is the launching point for this election cycle for Donald Trump, who's already had about 4 years, 3 years, so to speak, to really build up that presidency in his first term and looking to carry that into term number 2. I'm sure we'll be hearing from the Trump children a little bit later this evening. Very excited about what the future holds for their father, President Trump, right now. And we'll keep you posted as things kind of continue on through the night. Guys, let's get back out to you. John Schaefer, Local 5 News. We are Iowa.
All right, John, looks like a happy night out there for the Republicans. They're pretty pleased just to be able to relax and enjoy this night.
They can enjoy it, and they're so optimistic, about the unity of the party, which is remarkable. That Donald Trump really has been able to act like a magnet, and there's no longer a Tea Party, for example. I was just talking to some people. They said the Tea Party is virtually gone, and they were a challenge to the Republicans because they disagreed with a lot of Republican policies. Donald Trump has created this tremendous momentum, and whether you like him or not, agree with him or not, he certainly has united the party around him, and that's good for a party to be united.